In June last year, a black teenage girl was arrested leaving a pool party. She wasn't just arrested, she was shoved to the ground, face down. In October last year, a female high school student was arrested for disrupting the classroom. Her body literally dragged across the classroom floor. These arrests were made for ridiculous reasons. Did their behavior really warrant us criminalizing them? The news and popular media all paint this picture of drugs and crime consuming black kids, and we've allowed that image to taint how we view them. We don't expose ourselves to the various stories of the black youth experience. We've differentiated them from other teens of other races or cultures, even if they might dress the same or look the same, or even if they listen to the same music. But because they're black, we see them as a threat. We've stripped them of their identity, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and we gave them one of our own. We criminalize them. We tense up when we have to share a subway car with them. We walk across the street to avoid the bodega where they all congregate. We did this. We stopped seeing them as human. Even in our public schools, the place that is supposed to offer them opportunity for growth, and we still reduce them. We dress their schools in high fences and sometimes barbed wire. We make them walk through metal detectors, assuming that someone's carrying something contraband. And according to the US Department of Education, we suspend them 3.5 times more than their white counterparts. And if they're a black female student, they're suspended or expelled 6 times more. Just take a moment to imagine how this must feel. Donna Lieberman, of the executive director of the New York City Civil Liberties Union, see, that was hard to say as well, making students have to go through metal detectors to go to school sends a terrible message to students about where they are headed and how they are viewed. Without having heard their story, we've already set out their path. I didn't know this either until I moved to New York. It wasn't until I met my husband, who is black and from East New York, that I realized that I had the same presumptions about people of color here in the United States. It wasn't until I'd heard my husband's story that I realized that I needed to make space to hear the stories of all people of color and their experiences in the context of America. My husband, Mike, he grew up in the projects. He went to one of these schools where you had to walk through metal detectors. In fact, his bag was scanned through an X-ray machine as well. He decided he wasn't about that life. So he refused to touch drugs, not even smoke a joint. To this day, he's never smoked a cigarette. He didn't even touch alcohol until he was of legal age. He didn't want to risk getting caught up in a lifestyle that might compromise his chance to graduate high school or go to college. Now, before you applaud him and say that he stood out and fought hard to set himself apart from his peers, I want you to think about that moment when you had your first cigarette or when you had your first sip of alcohol. Were you thinking, I might get addicted because of this, or this might affect my ability to graduate? No, I bet that's not what you were thinking. But because of the life that was expected of Mike, based on what we had reduced him to in society, he had to make a conscious choice to distance himself from anything negative. It's normal for teens to experiment, but because he was black, his presumed future had already been written out for him, and he had to make a decision, a different choice, or risk his future.